The storm surges around you as your party walks up to the great gates of the goblin fortress of Profion. Your armor creaks and whines around your joints, alerting you to the very real danger and menace that awaits beyond the blood-soaked gates, which are riddled with wicked-looking spikes of every size. Before you there stands a small, ragged goblin-looking guard standing at the ready, his stout spear pointed toward the group. "Out!" the goblin says. "Those who seek an audience with the great snake-tongued Lord Profion must sing the song of Ridley and Snails or prepare to die."
Crap nuggets! I knew I should have played a bard. I would have been a kick-ass bard.
Well, you didn't. You chose the dwarf barbarian Lugpool. So shut up and go back to acting like your 5 intelligence modifier says you should.
Well, since we don't know the song, I think we should go back to town. I recall there was a bookstore called The Cunning Linguist. Maybe there's a book of bard songs that we can look at.
Does anyone else want to do anything?
I punch it!
Better.
I got this, guys. My Wizard Ninja Cleric bar should be able to roll the right skill knowledge check to figure this one out. Princess Tom, distract the guard with your major boobage whilst I whip up some mad dice rolling skills.
I'm not happy about this. Why do I have to pay the pink frilly princess? Look at me. I look like fucking Bowser bait around here. I just don't get it. Why when Jake, Trev, Bookslinger,
Slaughter.
yeah, whatever, get to play sweet, cool-looking characters, I'm stuck like this?
Because when I downloaded the Dungeons & Dragons Ready to Play adventure from the DVD, it only had 4 pre-made characters, and the rules specifically say that stereotypes must not be disturbed! Lest you wish to invoke the spirit of Gygax himself.
Well, I don't see why I have to...
Dude, don't invoke the Great One. He's got an aura of nerdiness with a range of 42 miles. My character, Jane, is too badass to die. He's undiable.
I knew I should have played a princess. I would have been a kick-ass princess.
Just go get the snacks, Jake.
Sweet, getting all those jibble gobbles from my mouth face.
Go on, Princess Tom. Mary the Amazing will watch your back.
Fine. Fair greeting to you, mighty green thing. My body seems to be stuck just above my large, voluptuous arse. Would you mind helping me with this?
Oh, pretty lady with the pink dress on. Joffrey the Goblin God will help.
Well then, come on over, big boy. Oh yeah, that's the spot. Keep it up, you strong piece of green monster meat. Oh yeah, you're the incredible hunk, aren't you?
What has been seen?
Oh, sorry. Sorry. I just got caught up in the moment.
That's one way of putting it.
Where are your orange powdered generic brand packing peanuts?
They're by the microwave!
What about the carbonated green space juice?
In the fridge, duh!
Okay, so now that the goblin is distracted, I pull out my ring of infinite rope tricks and I shoot out about 50 feet of rope.
Wait, hold on. Ring of infinite rope tricks? That thing costs over 200,000 gold. How in the hell did a level 4 character get that?
Level 4? How is he level 4? I'm only level 1.
I told you when I made the character that I had a family heirloom that was passed down from my great-grand-hobbit.
That's what you got? I thought you were kidding.
Hey, can I have the rest of this cottage cheese that's in this carton?
Yeah, go ahead. Just don't leave the empty bucket this time. I hate it when he does that.
You even signed off on it. I asked if everything sounded good about my character, and you just looked up from your book long enough to give me a thumbs up.
That's not the point, Trev. You have a legendary item on a level 4 noob character.
Again with the derogatory terms.
You shouldn't have an item like that.
You're level 4 too. What the hell? You can't even keep an accent up for 2 sentences.
Hey, have we gotten past the little goblin guy at the gate yet? I already punched him in his face.
No, Jake! Look, Trev, I'm gonna have to veto the use of that ring until I can look it over.
You did look it over! You gave me a thumbs up and everything!
Wait, am I a glorified torchbearer for you guys?
Is the goblin dead from my face punch yet?
No!
Trev, Jane will be fine without the ring. I'll just hold it in limbo for him until he hits a proper level to use it. Problem solved.
This is taking too long. I cast magic missile at the goblin, and I laugh as his little green fish and chips viscera disgorge itself all across the macrocosm. Ugh. Less QQ, more pew pew.
Okay. The goblin guard lets out a mighty wail of agony and explodes into tiny bits. Nice hit, Mrs. Bookslaughter.
Indubitably.
Well, hey, I'm back. What did I miss?
Mary the Amazing just minced the goblin.
Oh, goody. Lug walks up to the gate and smashes it down with his mighty chimichanga-shaped axe.
Who are you people?
Chimichanga!
Jake, you can't just smash down a reinforced adamantine silvered +7 gate of looming doom.
Natural 20. That's good, right?
I... Roll again.
Another all-natural from nature gluten-free 20.
Yahtzee!
You have no idea what Yahtzee is, do you?
I've lived a sheltered life.
Another 20? Roll one more time.
20 again.
Whoa, do you realise how rare that is?
Loved it good?
Domino!
Now you're just yelling any board game that comes into your head, aren't you?
You just ripped through the gates and surrounding walls like it was tissue paper. None of the hidden goblins and traps that dotted the ramparts around the gates survived the catastrophe that your one triple critical hit caused. Your level 4 barbarian dwarven mall rat just ruined 3 weeks of elaborate puzzles and planning that would have taken you guys several sessions to get through.
Huzzah!
The day is ours!
That should equal a few levels for us, most definitely.
What type of base attack does a princess get at level 2?
Huzzah!
I've never actually played
punches
in the day.
barbarian type, but yeah, whatever.
Where's the little bloke, apparently?
Dungeons and Dragons. One of the quintessential tabletop games to ever grace the gaming world. And for good reason. It's full of intricate nuances which help create a whole culture of gamers that rivals the likes of Trekkies and Jedis alike. The masterful mix of mythology, fantasy, and structured rules have captured the imagination of millions of people across the world. But it's also caught the ire of equal amounts of haters, if not more. This probably has to do with the use of fantastical monsters, magic, and settings ranging from whimsical to downright demonic. Hence the speculative links to the occult, satanic worship, and the countless sermons on the intricacies of how D&D is teaching your children how to be real wizards. I've been playing D&D for over 10 years now, so that must mean that I'm at least a level 5 wizard, right? Let's try it out. I'm just kidding. I'd never reveal my secrets to any of you. Whether you love it or hate it, Dungeons & Dragons is one of those cultural phenomenons that will never die. Unless you decide to make a live-action movie of the same name. That's right, movie interns. Today we're going to be looking at Dungeons & Dragons, the movie. So let's roll the dice on this critical miss and check out its stats. In the early 70s, the late greats Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson created two things. One was the publishing company TSR, which we'll get to in a second, and the other was the amazing game we know and love today as Dungeons & Dragons. From such humble beginnings, their pencil and paper gaming idea grew to encompass and influence countless adventures and quests the world over for years to come. And it would have been a much bigger success if it wasn't for those meddling kids and their stupid company. Tactical Studies Rules, or TSR, was the other brainchild of Gary and Dave, and in many ways it was a rather successful company when it came to its flagship Dungeons & Dragons, as well as its dipping into the fantasy novels world. But that's where it stopped. Almost every other decision and product TSR churned out ended up being a universal flop before it could pick up steam to stand on their own. Some more popular failures include the collectible dice game Dragon Dice and the equally disastrous collectible card game Spellfire. Now you're probably wondering why I'm talking about the now defunct company's financial problems when I should be talking about the live-action movie of the popular product. Well, because for whatever reason, the director and producer Courtney Solomon was able to acquire the rights from TSR to making the film at the age of 19. 19. I was still picking myself up off the dorm room floor, trying to decide if my 9th decision for a major was right for me. Let me give you a hint. It wasn't. Actually, doing a little bit more digging, I found that Courtney had to fight with TSR quite a lot to get the rights and find the funding to film the project, which took almost 10 years to finally come to screen. Okay, so producing and directing at 29 sounds a lot more reasonable. Not feasible, but reasonable. Of course, when the movie came out, TSR had been no more for 3 years. The 3rd edition of D&D was debuting at Origins Game Fair and other conventions across the US, and a newer, savvier group of gamers were coming of age. So this could only mean that this new up-and-coming director would be a perfect person with his finger on the pulse of the gaming community, poised to demonstrate a fresh, updated look and feel to the Dungeons & Dragons world. When have my predictions on this ever been true? The film didn't even make its budget back. It only opened at an embarrassing 5th in the box office. Its current score on Rotten Tomatoes is 10%, and I highly doubt my scathing savaging of the film will help raise that rating in any way. And do you really want to know the sad part about it all? Do you? Come here. It's a secret. Come here. I gotta whisper. Shh. So, you know how Jeremy Irons is in the movie? Well, the reason he did the movie was because, he had to pay for a fucking castle! Don't get me wrong, I love his performance, and you'll see why in a second. But the man actually said that he did this because he had to pay for the castle he just bought. Of all the arrogant, disrespectful things you could have said, clearly someone forgot to learn tact when they are in school. I'm fine. I'm fine. Let's get this over with. Let's see. We last left our intrepid adventurers. Before we begin, I should mention there are a few things I'm taking into account. I assume that you all know each and every Dungeons & Dragons rule from 1st edition all the way up to soon-to-be-released Core Edition, otherwise known as 5th edition, and that you have every monster and character class ability chart memorized, as well as the errata on some of the more obscure rulings. If not, I can wait. No, I can't. Fuck! Well, it looks like I'm going to have to cut a couple of the notes that I took on the inaccuracies of this film. Double fuck. Ah well. So, the movie begins with an admittedly awesome flyby shot of the castle of his... we're not going to see the whole thing, are we? Okay, well, I guess the dungeon will have to do. Odd for a product called Dungeons & Dragons to just outright start with one of their titular settings. You know, Godzilla could have learned a few things with this method of approach, instead of showing up 45 minutes in. That sounded bitter. Well, too late. It's been said. Anyway, you can clearly tell it's a dungeon because of its strategically positioned skulls and giant time turner they decided to get on loan from Hogwarts.
3 turns should do it, I think.
It also has a couple hooded figures thrown in for fodder. And of course it has a mage of epic overacting proportions. This is Profion, played by Jeremy Irons, and... maybe he needs some time alone. Okay, that's enough. We'll do Dungeons and Dominatrices another day. The rod Profion made is to help him control dragons. But, since this is clearly not an actual dragon, it doesn't work. Why isn't it a real dragon, you ask? I can't remember. The question is, does it work? Does it really control my dragon man? Of course it didn't. If it had, the movie would have been over, and everyone who paid to watch this crap could have done about 100 other things. In fact, here's a small list of things they could be doing right now instead of watching this movie. How much longer till I get paid for this schlock? Profian, that sounds like a fireplace starter log. Holy jeez, what's with evil RuPaul over here? What, did he eat a Smurf? What? Nostalgia Critic has done that joke? Well, triple fuck. How about, he looks like he's been sucking on the Twitter logo. Okay, good. I'm going with that one. What, has he been sucking on the Twitter logo? Anyway, this is Damodar, the head of Profian's guard. As if that has anything to do with anything. And of all the characters in this film, he's the one I most see as an over-the-top but completely appropriate D&D character. And I'm pretty sure all his stats would say badass. But what about his skills? 50 ranks in badass. His attack and defense rolls? D20 plus badass. What does he carry on him? A ring of blue snow cone making.
It will be done.
So the dragon dies and lights the water on fire. Oh, no, I'm not going to ask why. When it comes to D&D, I take everything at face value. What? I play a dwarven archer assassin that has a penchant for breaking the fourth wall. Look, I don't have time to go into every single detail here. Just think of it. Magic happens, and that's the way of it. But in the meantime, let's take a moment to scoff at our two heroes, Ridley and Snails, a pair of thieves played by Marlon Wayans and Justin Why Am I Not Grand Gosling Whalen. They have a huge beef with the mages of Izmir, but reasons for this have been lost under years of eraser marks on their character sheets. And they are the most annoying heroes in the world.
Oh yeah, Ridley the Savior.
No, really, just listen to some of Justin Whalen's endearing moments on screen.
Trust me.
I'll understand if you don't want to go.
Trust me. Ridley Freeborn, practitioner of the Larcenist Crafts, member in good standing of the Sumdog Guild. It's a pleasure to meet you.
And then, oh yes, and then there's Marlon.
Idol of idols. I got a new name for dumb. Ridley. Hi. You looking for somebody in particular? Or you just looking for somebody?
Just like a...
Hello?
Mr. Doctor?
Yes?
We're calling to inform you that you have once again violated the sacred reviewer laws and invoked a joke used by Mr. Nostalgia Critic.
Again? Quadrafuck. Well, you get the picture. These two are really annoying. Where was I? Ah, right. Profian is addressing the Council of Window Curtain Rods about the childlike Empress and her own rod. Man, this movie really likes its rods. Sorry, the Empress talks to a Maester Pycelle about there being another rod that would help her save something or shit. Dragons! There were dragons in there somewhere.
I must have that rod of suffering.
Whoa, Jeremy! Jeremy, calm down. It's just a rod. You had your own in the last scene. You don't need another. So Profian orders Blue and Bald here to figure out where to find the Rod of Contrivance, while Ridley and Snails make their way into the Mages' School. When did I have corn? The duo begin to steal their way through the tower, until they are caught by Marina, played by Zoe McClellan. And beyond being an assistant mage with a dream, mark off another spot on my D&D bingo card here, she's pretty much the producer's last failed attempt at eye candy. Seriously, Marina is the closest you'll get to hot in this movie.
I'd have to put a feeble mind spell on myself to want to take you home.
And not that I'm complaining. It's nice to get a movie that isn't completely objectifying all the women in this day and age. But when it comes to Dungeons & Dragons, you kind of expect it, you know? Oh, don't get me wrong, this is one for the movie. You see, here's the D&D artwork that's been inspired. And here's the heroine of the movie. Form your own arguments about practicality and sex appeal from here. Anyway, Baldy Blue Lips kills False Pycelle before Marina and the Chumpsy twins escape to the streets, and promptly fail their spot checks running into a pile of trash. Oh, and there's a dwarf there too. Okay, so a homeless dwarf that's fully clothed and armed to the teeth? Come on, movie, I'm trying to suspend my disbelief here, but even I don't buy that one. Is he calling for help? Is he a raptor? Is he calling other brother dwarves?
Post brigades at every sewer entrance and exit. I want...
Sir? Why are you whispering? They're not here anymore.
Marina of Potenza.
They just can't get my nose right.
So now that the trio plus dwarf tag-along are wanted, they find sanctuary in the busiest bar in Mos Eisley. Or the break room for all the fantasy movies in the past 10 years.
Orcs and Uruk-hai, you're needed on the set of Fellowship of the Rings in 10 minutes. Pirates, get to the Black Pearl in 5. And could someone please tell Saruman to stop stealing the last jelly-filled donut?
At the bar, Ridley and Marina get sucked into the map, where we get to follow them and... What? No map scene? Well, what do we get instead?
There I am, hog-tied, lying on my back.
Really? We had the choice between advancing the plot or listening to a half-cocked Beard Boy story?
No-win situation.
Pro-decision, movie.
What do I got to lose?
Do not let them escape, or you will suffer.
Sir, do you need a lozenge or something?
That which hath been in...
So while important things continue to happen elsewhere, Snails meets an elf named Norda, who was sent by the Empress to find the group. But instead of actually doing her job, she just lets them go! And then follows them. She's supposed to be the Empress's best tracker, and... Never mind, I just answered my own question. Continue. Ridley and Marina explain what they learned in the map to Snails, who has the sidekick's usual "we're gonna die" meltdown, then decides to help out anyway.
Okay, just a little bit.
We're in.
And then it's off to the Thieves Guild in the most impractical place for a castle ever city. Man, that'd be cool if that's where the actual Thieves Guild was. Oh, I should have guessed. Well, we are, after all, watching Dungeons & Dragons Rise of the Clichés. So the group follows the Star Wars dropouts into the guild, where they meet Xylus, played by the original riffraff himself, Richard O'Brien.
So, what might I do for you?
Holy reflex saves, Batman. Did all the actors take a masterclass from Jeremy Irons before filming? There's enough ham in these scenes to choke a pig. I don't mean to complain, since it's pretty natural in a normal D&D session to see quite a few people ham it up during an intense scene. But every new character we meet seems to bring out their own level of overacting. Or underacting, depending. Even the peripheral
You
characters.
get the word outsiders not appreciated branded right where your nose used to be. Get it?
This is my ticket to the A-list. Anyway, Ridley gets his chance to run through the Thieves Guild's maze of Indiana Jones derivatives, where he gets to find the Dragon's Eye. But of course, Riff Raff turns on Ridley and his crew were... Oh my god, I can't. These two moot grunt extras they picked off the street and face painted are priceless. It's like the director just said, stand there and look mean, and instead got dead inside. These faces clearly say, I've seen some things, man, and some stuff. And Jeremy Irons scarred me for life, man. I regret nothing. So Damodar shows up to take the Dragon's Eye.
Who the hell is he? Who the hell are you?
Who the hell am I? Who the hell are we? But settles for taking Marina instead, while Ridley, the dwarf, and Snails gets caught by Norda and her awkward breastplate. So stealing from Indiana Jones, RuPaul, and Star Wars wasn't enough. You decided to go for the hat trick and steal the nipple designs from Batman?
A wonderful performance.
Still back to the Empress of Izmir.
Oh. So you're the law, are you?
But instead of killing the thieves, she sort of joins them.
They will travel with us.
Sort of.
Should they try to escape?
Threatens them?
Kill them.
As they go to save Marina and retrieve the map.
Ridley, look. Beholders.
Relax, Snails. We'll just sneak around them.
Nope. A beholder would never submit to menial guard duty, nor would they be ever subjected to talking to anyone but their own race. What? Sorry to geek out on you like that, movie interns. But when you can't even get monstrous societal mores right, I get a bit pissed off, especially when it comes to a signature monster like a beholder. If you're gonna hold on to the intellectual rights of a monster D&D, then at least get them correct. Or use another monster. We don't have to try to match the awesome horribleness of Big Trouble in Little China's Sentry Eye thing. You could have used a Thri-Kreen, or an Iron Golem, or even a couple of gelatinous cubes. That would have made more sense to a stickler that I'll admit I'm being. Anyway, Ridley and Snails sneak into the castle with the dwarf and Norda's brigade close behind.
We were not meant to enter this place. This task they must complete alone.
That makes no fucking sense. Ridley finds Marina dirtied, tortured, abused, but her lipstick is still intact. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. Brought to you by Dungeons & Dragons, official line of lipstick. Only comes in Library Red, Elven Pink, and Toilet Bowl Blue. Order today. And Snails finds the map. And Damodar.
Don't belong to you.
Alright. Now, I'm mad.
Oh.
Oh, Snails! I didn't know I was entertaining. Let me just put on my good armor.
I'm Damodar.
Hey, that's not nice. I had a cold. Now, how should I approach him without feeling threatening? Bunny hop! Now, the next part may seem very senseless, tragic, and very surprising to you. But you have to realize that with Dungeons & Dragons, character death is very real, but it's usually not as satisfying to the rest of us playing as this one was. Snails really wasn't that great of a character on a theatrical standpoint as well as a D&D standpoint. He's one of those characters that the rest of the players hoped would die by the end. I really didn't mind Marlon Wayans either, but his portrayal of Snails was stereotypical at best. So Ridley gets stabbed before Marina saves him. Wizards, always trying to steal the fighter's thunder. And they escape to Elf City, where the head elf, played by Doctor Who himself, Sam Baker, heals the poor broless noob.
How did you do that?
Magic, bitch! Oh, and have a sweet-ass sword for the rest of the movie. You deserve it, hero! So back in Izmir, Profian has banded a group of the Council of Curtain Rods together to do battle against Groan of Arc and her golden dragons. How and why did they get to this place? Well, they want you to believe that there was some sort of bipartisan politics going on. But I have a feeling it's more because Profian wants all the rods. And Golden Condom Girl here won't give hers up. I'm actually serious. There's no reason for the Empress to have summoned dragons to kill Profian. He's been completely legit politics-wise, and for her to just start throwing dragons around like they're going out of style is presumptuous and nonsensical. If she really wants what's best for her people, she would continue to fight in council with Profian and get more members on her side, not ride her rod to dragon-filled doom. Maybe Ridley is having more success.
Sorry, Snails.
Sorry, Snails? What? Now that he's dead, you don't think you should honor the fuck out of him and steal every bit of gold there like a proper thief? Just take the rod and get out of... Oh, for fuck's sake, Damodar. Damodar takes the rod back to Profian, who has a few joygasms. Or he just filled his pants with happy shits. Oh yes, this is almost over. I'm so happy I could overact my next line.
Let their blood rain from the sky!
What an eccentric performance.
Ridley fights Baldy one last time in the most dull fight choreography ever. It's just up, down, up. What? Nostalgia Critic did that too? And Profion finally gets his just desserts. Or becomes dessert. A nice ham-filled pie. But not before he could give his big closing dance number. Look at him go. Not even the lump of golden dragon turds can stand to his awesome dancing prowess. Of course, I bet it would look a lot better with some music. Ooh, let's try this. Much better. So, Izmir is saved, Ridley gets to be the hero, and all Snails gets is a bunch of rocks in the middle of a kick-ass cemetery. He could afford new leather clothes, but he couldn't buy his friend an actual headstone. Oh great, now he's going to go find his dead friend. And thus the journey continues. Or it doesn't. You see, the only person to actually make it to the sequel of this movie is... Yep, Mr. I Need a Ricola himself makes it to the sequel. So that was Dungeons & Dragons. And what's my diagnosis? Ah! It was horrible! But also unintentionally hilarious. This is one of those movies that falls into so bad it's good categories so well, it's hard to not like something in the film. At the same time, you can't help but smell the cheese wafting off every bit of it. And there's no need for this movie to be as bad as it was. It had a lot going for it. A young cast, a solid couple of heavy gun actors filling the villain roles, and a fairly young fan turned producer who had to have a big amount of respect for the source material before actually doing the film. Instead, we get a lot of miscastings, over-the-top called-in crap, and a script that I can guarantee thousands of dungeon masters could have written something better in their sleep. Aside from the magic spells, the special effects were a giant joke, especially compared to something like The Matrix, which came out a year before D&D. I'm not saying they should have had the same quality, but they could have at least tried to get close. The plot is overly complicated with the addition of Profion and the Empress's constant political bickering, and it takes away from the wanderlust that most people like to see in their own D&D campaigns. And even though the movie was very derivative and generic, those parts were more in the spirit of a true D&D game than some of the more other, on-the-nose shoehorns. And do you want to know the funniest thing I've said about the movie so far? Everything I've said is all old and redundant critiques. Everything that can be said about it has been said. It's gotten so much flack that most subcultures try to act as if it never happened, like a bad Game of Thrones scene. But it did happen, and because of that, we now have to live with the crap that we were dealt. So why not make the most of it and enjoy the movie for what it should be seen as? And I know a lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, but it is a good first attempt at a live-action D&D movie. That's it. It's not great, but it's certainly not gold. And it's fun to pull out and show other D&D enthusiasts who have never seen it and go, well, at least you weren't around when this film dropped. For my cringe factor, the pain that this movie causes is enough to make anyone cry, so I'm planting it firmly at an 8 out of 10. But I strongly urge that anyone that hasn't to try this movie for a fun night with your friends. You'll enjoy every minute of it. And who knows, maybe you'll actually want to try to play the game that's behind the disaster. It has to be better than the cartoon.
Who are you? Someone sent by a friend of yours.
Well, movie interns, I hope you enjoyed that one. I sure did. Until next time, I am the Movie Doctor, and I'll see you in the exam room. Hey movie interns, thanks for watching the show. If you liked what you saw, check out my other videos below. Follow me on Blip, Facebook, and Twitter. And check out my friends that did the first part with me of the D&D and the 8-bit stuff. Check them out at peanutbutterdisaster.com. We're all there. We do all kinds of reviews, and I've got a couple other new reviews up there too, so check them out. Until next time.
Wait, am I a glorified torchbearer for you guys?